Good morning, children. Today in this session we will study about railways. We know we have studied about the roadways in the previous class. What are the advantages roadways as comparing with the railways? So railways are the principal mode of transportation for freight and passengers in India. Large scale passengers, we can find out large number of people are traveling by the train, railways, and also freight transportation. That means the goods are large quantity of goods are also transported by the railways. We can find railways also make it possible for the people to conduct multifarious activities like business, while people traveling for distant areas, long journeys for their business purpose, sightseeing, pilgrimage also, when we are going to the temples or visiting other places in the far places in other regions, especially we are going to Vaishno Devi temple, Tirupati, etc. These are all long distances we can travel by the railways. It is most suitable. So goods also, some large quantity of goods are also transported in the longer distances. So these are possible with the railways. That by buses or other roadways, it's not so easy to transport goods in the long distances, and also passengers to travel to the long distances. So here an important means of transportation is Indian Railways. We know that it's almost 150 years how completed the Indian Railways have established. Railways in India has the economic life of the country, as well as accelerate the development of the industry and the agriculture. Agriculture products are also transported by the railways, and industries also, industrial goods are also, we know that Jamshedpur, Rourkela, like that, Bhilai, these all important industrial areas. There are also railway lines are there. So these railways are transporting large scale goods from the industries to other parts of the country also. We know Indian Railways is the largest public sector undertaking in the country. Indian Railways are completely owned by the government of India. It was established, the first steam engine or the railway line was constructed in India in 1853, covering of the 34 kilometers from Mumbai to Thane. That was the first railway line in India during the colonial period, which was constructed in 1853. Indian Railways are now recognized that there are 16 zones which are the trains operating in their locality. There are 16 railway zones, okay, and so that railways can arrange the train facilities from different regions. So the distribution of railway pattern network in the country is especially influenced by the physiographic, economic, and administrative factors. That means we cannot find the railway lines all over the country. Some regions where the mountainous regions and hilly slopes, hill slopes, etc., we don't find the railway lines very rarely. Now Konkan Railway, we know that Western Ghats, it is constructed in the western coastal region also. So it was much difficult to construct the railway lines through the mountain valleys or the rivers also. When rivers are crossing, so they have to construct large bridges, etc. So these are the difficulties of construction of railway lines. We know that one thing is administrative factors, physiographic, economic factors are very important for the construction of railway lines, because northern plains in North India, we know that vast level and high population and density and rich agricultural resources are there. In the northern plain, we can find a large density of railway lines. The reasons are, one thing, agricultural resources are available, so that this has to be transported to different parts of the country, and a huge population density is very high, so that it will be economically beneficial for the government, so that railway lines are constructed there. And all these favorable conditions, one other one is plain land, level land. Plain northern plains are very level land. So these factors are contributing the construction of railway lines in the northern plains, one thing. Another one, when we are thinking about the large number of rivers are there, these are all require construction of bridges. When rivers, the railway lines are crossing the rivers, the large bridges have to be constructed. So that is one reason, one obstacle. And also mountainous region, whenever there are the high hill slopes or mountainous regions, railway tracks cannot be constructed. There also we have to construct the tunnels or the other ways, the slower region or the lower parts of the mountains, we have to divert the railway lines. So these are the obstacles of construction of the railways. Another one thing, the some of the regions we have very sparse population, so that there is no economic opportunity for the government. When people are not living in particular areas, the railway lines cannot be constructed because there are no passengers, no goods also can be transported from these regions. Other one is the sandy plains of the western Rajasthan desert region. It's not easy to construct the railway lines because of the sandy region. Swamps or the marshy lands in the Gujarat, especially in the Ran of Kutch region, its land is very wet land can be found, the swamps or marshy regions. That is also not possible for the construction of Gujarat. But another regions, the forest tracts of Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh has large regions of forest. Chhattisgarh, Odisha and Jharkhand, these regions, these states have a large tracts of forests, also not possible to construct the railway lines. Then continuous stretch of the Sahyadris could be crossed only through the gaps or passes or the Ghats in the western Ghats or the Sahyadri mountains in the western coastal region of our country. These are also high mountains, so it can be only through the passes, mountain passes or the gaps between the mountains only the railway lines can be constructed. But here we have recently developed the Konkan Railway, which is along the west coast. These regions, this railway line after construction is much benefited for the whole country. We know that western regions or western coastal regions, this railway line is constructed, but many of the mountainous, the Sahyadri mountains, there are many tunnels constructed, large bridges also constructed in this locality, which makes very heavy expenditure for the government also. Okay, so that this is also very important construction of the Konkan Railway, which transport large scale goods and passengers from one region to the other region. So that some problems, sinking of the railway track, that is in the rainy season it often takes place, sinking of the railway track, and sometimes landslides also, because it is a mountainous region, landslides also occur. These are obstacles for the Konkan Railway, but also this is very important railway line for the economic development of our country. Today the railways have become more important in our national economy than all other means of transport put together. When we know the railways or airways and waterways, etc., roadways, etc., railways are very important because the large scale goods are transported through the, or freight and passengers are also transported through these railways. But some problems still the government railways are facing. One thing is many of the passengers travel without tickets. So that's a great loss for the railways. Another one is theft occurring. People, those who are traveling by the trains and picking up the materials or invaluable goods in from the railway, or they are picking up the railway property, they are damaging, some people damaging the railway property, or some are stealing the railway property. These all have to be stopped completely, and so that railways will be more beneficial advantages. Some other problems are there. People stop the trains by pulling the train and pulling the chain unnecessarily, so that it causes damages to the railway. So these are the problems nowadays railways are also facing. So we have to work out for removing all these problems so that the railways also will be much beneficial or much advantageous and more economically advantage to the government. Tomorrow we'll study about the pipeline transportation and waterways.